God, it made so much phlegm in my throat.
Ew.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to PyroFalkon's Let's Play Extravaganza, where it's your Let's Play 2 and your throat phlegm too.
Ew.
This is January 25th, 2015, and you are watching Streaming Sundays number 39. Ugh. If you're watching this on the YouTube cut, you should have been to Hitbox, because we're playing this game by committee. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Hitbox.tv/PyroFalkonLPE. Links are in the video description. And starting next week, which is the 1st, we're going to be back to an 8 o'clock start time. Sorry, Kalo. But yeah, next week, we're back to 8 o'clock. Remember that. So the game we're playing today is called Choice of Robots. Now, this game is just an interactive fiction. It's essentially a choose-your-own-adventure book. It's on Steam. Links are in the video description for that, too. And it's pretty inexpensive. If you guys like this game, let me know in the comments, because we'll do more of them in the future, especially if you like the whole playing by committee thing, because it's super fun. I really, really like audience participation. Now, this game, Choice of Robots, takes about an hour to play according to the comments. I have not played it yet, or I should say according to the reviews. I have not played it yet, but I figure it'll be maybe an hour and a half at worst, given the delays and everything, but it'll be really fun, and we're going to try to get it all done in one episode. There's apparently a crap ton of endings, too, so we're going to have our own very special ending here. Alright, so Kalo in the comments has the rotation, so I'll be naming off the people as they come up. I will be reading the narration. You guys can take a look at the choices and pick any that you want. You can, I guess, talk about it if you want, but you can just pick as you will. And there is no title screen, there is no sound effects or graphics, it just kind of launches you into it. So, Choice of Robots by Kevin Gold, PhD. Where are you? That's pretty easy. I mean, a pretty simple question. Very nice. We are either in the court of Egyptian goddess Anubis answering for our sins, war-torn battlefield, on a cliff in Ireland, watching the sunset with a robot companion, or on a utopia beach ruled by a godlike cloud of road. We're going to be in Ireland. That sounds fun. Sitting on the seaside cliff in Ireland, watching the sunset, is the robot companion you always wanted. So, to the Akamura. Your choices are, he proposed to me at this very spot, she proposed to me at this very spot, he and I traveled the world together exploring, or she and I traveled the world together exploring. So basically we're choosing the gender of our robot companion here.
She and I traveled the world together.
Okay. Yes, you two were best friends. Empathy and autonomy. She is fitted in a loose-fitting red tunic, and she shoots you a puckish, friendly look. You sit down beside her to watch the sunset together. I hope I didn't keep you waiting, you say. Actually, I'm still waiting, she says with a slight smile, for you to build me. I could do that, you say? She looks sad for a moment. Yes, but it will take a lot out of you. She puts her hand on yours. But I promise you that if you give your humanity to me, then I will give it back one day. I don't understand, you say. Just remember that no great thing happens without sacrifice, and I'm very sorry. Some things are in our control and others are not. Okay. You awaken with your head on a desktop keyboard. Your 3D drafting program is still open. The schematic zoomed in to the recess where your smartphone will snap back to act as its brain. Ugh. You recall fiddling with that part endlessly last night until finally your vision began to fade, and there was a roaring in your ears, and you realized you had been working far, far too long. You must have passed out. It's the fall of 2019. You're a 24-year-old graduate student in the PhD program in computer science at Stanford. And you're a... Kalo, you have the choice. Are we playing as a male or a female? And one reason why I like doing this on Hitbox is because the turnaround time is about 4 seconds instead of Twitch, where it was 40, making games like this a lot more doable to actually, you know, play. And Kalo posted a picture of a toffee treat Kit Kat in the post. And Kalo chooses a guy. We are a guy. Whose name is... I'm going to override this one. We're going to... We are Blazing Hawks. That is our first name. Yes. Oh, son of a bitch. Fuck.
That's our last name.
Really? Fuck, are you sure? Yes. Okay. Alright, so now we have our name. We are Blazing Hawks Fuck. You look around your apartment. What does it look like? And Mom, you've got the command. You have 4 options here. What does our apartment look like? BattleBot's trophy is perched on a widescreen TV equipped with the latest video game consoles. Neatly labeled plastic shelving units sit on a 3D printer-equipped robot workbench. Busts of famous philosophers sit next to my own attempts to sculpt them, or my shelves display all of the strange little robotic creatures I've made over the years. We do have stats, which I can pull up at any point, and it gives us some information, such as here. We are 24-year-old Blazing Hawks Fuck, 90% human, male, no fame, we have no money, we have no romance, and Mom chooses neatly labeled boxes. Okay. Yes, some might say that your room has the sterile atmosphere of an operating room, but that is what your room is, an operating room for robots. Like a surgeon, you like knowing exactly where each tool is when you need it. Your robots have a similar sparsity of design. It strikes you for a moment that this kind of thinking about how your life affects your robots is second nature to you, though others might find it peculiar. You've always been fascinated by how every little detail of your life, from the content of your dreams to the decor of your room, changes the inputs to the robots you create, boosts their empathy or autonomy or grace or appeal to the military. Surely there are other things going on around you as a result of your decisions, but they don't immediately strike you in the same way. Today, your robot is foremost on your mind because you're about to build its body. You pick up your laptop and head for the Stanford Machine Shop. It's a beautiful spring day in Palo Alto, California, and your apartment is only a short walk from the machine shop. But the streets of Palo Alto are not designed for walking. You find yourself climbing around palm trees and balancing on narrow curbs as you do every day. You hear a low roar overhead. Glancing up, you see it's a flying car, a Nimbus. A little over $300,000 can buy you a car with wings that fold out so that it becomes a small sports plane. The red Nimbus looks sleek and sporty. It's the sort of car its owner takes religiously to the car wash. Though the commercials would have you believe you can fly anywhere you want in those cars, the FAA still requires them to take off and land from airports. Only here in wealthy Silicon Valley do you see them with any frequency. The first time you saw one, you couldn't quite believe the future had arrived so quickly. But the second time you saw one, you thought, I swear I'll own one. If I ever make that much money, I'll use it to help the world instead. Or why aren't those flying cars driving themselves? Let's see. TC, you have the call on that one. So just let me know in the chat which you would like to choose. I suppose I could probably try to blow this up even more. That probably looks readable. What if I do... Yeah, it's not making it readable. Wait, what if I... Ha! Yeah! Oh, that's gonna look fun when I try to when I edit this thing for the YouTube cut. Alright, there we go. Even easier to read now. I'll put the... there we go. Put the choices on the screen. TC asks, why aren't those cars flying themselves? Occasionally you see a self-driving car on the roads of Palo Alto, but for some reason they still haven't caught on quite as much as one would expect, despite having been around at least as long as the flying cars. You've decided it's because people just don't trust self-driving cars enough. It's important to make your robot seem trustworthy. Intelligence alone doesn't instill trust. Plus empathy. Sweet. The Stanford University fabrication shop smells like oil and burnt plastic. The room is dominated by large metal hand-cranked milling machines and lathes, dinosaurs of the 20th century, while the most used machines are the smaller 3D printers and computer-controlled water jet cutters that take a quarter of the space. The lights have the sterile fluorescence of an operating room, with only a single tiny window near the ceiling to inform you that it is day. You start up a National Public Radio broadcast on your laptop. You haven't seen your advisor much since you joined the lab, so you choose the episode in which he's the interviewee. My guest today is Dr. Harvey Ziegler, says a woman with a soothing voice. Dr. Ziegler, thank you for joining us today. Well, a scientist does have some responsibility to inform the unwashed masses, Terry. What a douche. You let the podcast run as you walk over to the 3D printers. What materials have you decided to use for your robot? Tink, you are up. You can choose plastic. It may break easily, but it's lightweight and cheap. Metal, the most resistant to damage, or wood, the most pleasing to the hand and eye. And if at any point you want me to bring up our dude's stats, just let me know and I will do that. Looks like there's like 8 relationships that we have not found yet. And our robot is apparently 1 autonomous, 1 military, 4 empathy, and 3 grace at the moment. All of which are buggy. It's probably not good. Nuked Piggy wants to appeal to the military for things. Tink chooses metal, the most resistant to damage. Which does add a point to military. Nuked Piggy is probably happy. You walk over to the computer-controlled water jet cutter where a helpful pictogram shows the jet of abrasive-filled water slicing a hand in two. Oh, God, why? Dr. Ziegler, in your new book, you talk about the singularity. Could you describe for our listeners what that is? Terry, the singularity is the coming time when artificial intelligences will have figured out how to make themselves, and us, smarter. Once that happens, the process will build on itself until the robots are smart enough to figure out how we can live forever. Is that possible? The interviewer asks. Living forever? Of course, Professor Ziegler says. What does it matter whether our operating systems are made out of meat or silicon? So you're predicting we'll become robots? Not exactly, Ziegler says. But I do think the line between humans and robots will blur. You're hardly listening to the podcast because you're about to make your first robot part. What does the head of your robot look like? And Nuked Piggy has the choice here. A human face, as lifelike as I can make it. A simple box with eyes, clearly not trying to be anything but a robot. It'll be felt covered and big-eyed like a puppet, so maybe people will not be afraid of it. It will have a ring of cameras around its head for a 360-degree view, or it will look like a Venetian mask. Beautiful, expressionless, and otherworldly. Oh, God, that would creep me out. Alright, so, NP, let me know in the comments which head you would like to place on our robot. There'll be a slight delay. That's the one problem with not having any music. It'll be kind of funky to edit. Ring of cameras. Okay.
Nope, that's Tink saying that.
What? No, that's NP. NP's changed his color to like that weird gray, so it's kind of hard to see.
I see.
But
I gotcha.
I've got him. Nuked Piggy selects a ring of cameras. Ring of cameras. Done. You see no reason to force your robot to have binocular vision when it is relatively easy to stitch images together to form 360-degree panoramas. Your robot will always have a good sense of where it is, and it will be hard to sneak up on it. Double plus to military. But some people may be concerned with its alien appearance. Its head looks like a mushroom cap surrounded by arachnidides. Double minus empathy. Dr. Ziegler, what makes you think the singularity will happen now? Well, for one thing, I'm around. Haha. But seriously, my lab is taking a unique approach because we're saying, why not teach a robot like a child? We're going to equip the robot with the best sensors money can buy and teach it English. Then it could rapidly teach itself using the internet. Well, that's annoying. Your advisor thought a robot child was a stupid idea until you told him. Oh, until you told him Turing proposed it back in 1950, minus the internet part. But he isn't giving credit to either of you. You keep working regardless. How will your robot get around? And I am up now, I believe. Yes, okay, it will walk upright on 2 legs, it'll crawl on 8, it'll roll on wheels, fly like a helicopter, roll on tank treads. It will walk upright, but also have delicate wings it can use for balance. We're going to make it fly like a helicopter. Fuck that noise. And PyroFalkon for a reason. The drone revolution of the early 21st century made small helicopter rotors the clear preferred means of travel for a robot. Its similarity to previous unmanned aerial vehicles should help you find military customers. Sweet. However, people may not be willing to see a flying little copter thing as human, minus empathy. The water jet cutters cut the rotors one by one and finally cuts the cross-shaped frame that connects them to the head. You use the basic hand-cranked milling machines to drill holes in the head for the screws, since water jet cutters aren't the best for threaded holes. And who is going to raise this robotic child, the interviewer asks. Who does all the grunt work in a research laboratory, Professor Ziegler says. The graduate students, of course. You find yourself wanting to reply to the broadcast. So, the Akamura. How do you reply to the broadcast? It's not grunt work. Education is critical to the robot's development. We also do all the real science, or perhaps you could learn something from doing a little grunt work yourself, Professor Ziegler. How passive-aggressive.
It's not grunt work.
It's not grunt work. Education is critical to the robot's development. Graduate students always overestimate the degree to which teaching actually matters, said Professor Ziegler, who appears to have who have entered the machine shop behind you when you weren't looking. Oops, he heard us. If the robot's smart, it'll learn no matter what, and if it's not, it won't. Professor Ziegler is a heavy-set man wearing a Hawaiian shirt and aviator sunglasses. He stalks over to your computer. We'll be back in a moment, continues the interviewer. We're talking with Professor, who pauses the broadcast by hitting your laptop's spacebar, and you flinch at his intrusion. He then pulls a cigar from his pocket and lights it, and the smell of smoke mingles with the oily smell of the machine shop. I'm writing a grant for DARPA, and I need to see what you're making back there. We ultimately get funded by the Department of Defense, so we have to make sure they're happy with our product. He casts a critical eye on the work you've done so far. Metal's a good choice, Ziegler says. They'll want things that appear durable in the field. Professor Ziegler turns to examining your robot's head, which is currently sitting on the table next to the water jet cutter. That seems alright, Ziegler says. Looks like it could be sufficiently intimidating. And what are you planning to do for arms and hands? Kalo, this is your choice. Tyrannosaurus Rex was the most intimidating dinosaur imaginable, so it'll have T-Rex arms. It'll have a gun for an arm like Mega Man. Mechanical grippers built for strength instead of dexterity. Swiss Army knife hands with tools. Soft hands with a good sense of touch. Or more than 2 arms. It'll have lots of arms springing out of its back like Inspector Gadget. That was a lot of references in one set of choices. Kalo, it is your choice. Nuked Piggy, DARPA is still in effect. I have no idea what you're talking about. Kalo says Swiss Army knife hands. So let's see. I was thinking sort of Swiss Army knife hands with tools that pop out of the fingers. I like it, Professor Ziegler says. It could repair other robots on the battlefield. Right. It'll have a screwdriver finger, a lock-picking finger, a mini USB port finger. You decline to mention the bottle opener, though you think that could be popular with soldiers too. Regardless, experience with a variety of different tools should prove useful in more than just military robots. You wonder if that could make for a good surgical robot with the same design. Fine, Ziegler says, waving away further explanation. Carry on, then. He turns to leave. I've got to take a call from a New York Times reporter. Funny how journalists all copy each other's stories, but each garble the message in a unique way. He makes it to the door, then turns and says, "Oh, one more thing. Do you think your robot can be ready by tomorrow? Someone from the Air Force will be in town, and I told her your robot might be ready to show off by then." You feel your phone vibrating in your pocket. Bad timing. You must resist the urge to check it while talking to your advisor, but it's probably someone with a better offer for what to do for tonight. So let's see. Mom Falcon is up. You can say, no, there's no way this robot will be done. You can say the robot will be done, but there will be no demo, since you'll have to test it first. Or you can just totally agree to what the advisor is asking. You have the choice, Mom. Is this giving you inspiration to sketch?
Yes.
I see.
I am paying attention, though.
Mom chooses, of course. Professor Ziegler nods appreciatively. Excellent. Good attitude. We'll make a professor out of you yet. I'll tell Captain Rogers to meet you here tomorrow. It's a nice, controlled environment. Pretty consistent light levels. I think not much can go wrong. Yes, sir. Professor Ziegler turns and walks out of the machine shop. You find yourself unclenching your hands. Who was calling you while Professor Ziegler was talking to you? TC, you're up. Who was calling us while the professor was talking to us? Is it Ellie Lau, a user experience designer and supportive friend? Is that E.G. Aomame?
Let me see it. A.G. Aomame.
That, a manga artist and generally good guy, or our ambitious friend Josh Anderson, founder of the startup US Robots? Let me know in the comments. Are you sketching robots there?
No.
Oh. Follow up. So we have
I-
no dead air.
No, I don't want to talk about what I'm drawing. It's just a face for a character I'm building. Aw.
We need to teach Akamura once again how broadcasting works. TC selects ambitious friend Josh Anderson. Okay. From the missed call, your phone is displaying Josh's profile photo. It's a picture of Josh and Ellie from the freshman welcome week dance 7 years ago. Ellie is wearing a red Chinese dress with gold trim, her long, straight black hair falling down to the, I don't know what that word is, epaulets?
Epaulets, yes.
I don't know what an epaulet is. There's an epaulet. Anyway, the flash is too bright in the picture, making Ellie's pale skin look washed out. Josh is wearing his usual gray hoodie, not having bothered to dress up for the dance, his arm around Ellie. What's the story behind that picture? And Tink, you are up. Let's see. We were in love with Josh's friend Ellie, but our studies always came first in college. Or we were in love with Josh, but we never knew how to be more than a friend to him. Or we had agreed to be Josh's wingman at the dance, and that's where he met Ellie. Or we were testing a music recognition algorithm when those two started bothering us. Let me know in the comments. I had read in the description that that there was it was like they had about 5 or 6 different sexualities. What's the word? Like represented in the story, just the way the choices could be used and how vague they could be and such. This is kind of nice. Tink chooses, I was in love with Josh's friend Ellie, but my studies always came first in college. Yes, you pined after Ellie in college, but knew that you would not have time to pursue romance. Not when you were taking 5 classes, some of them graduate work, plus grace and plus autonomy. That photo is from one of the dances during freshman orientation before you had homework. You never went to another one. You continue to hope that someday your perseverance and dedication will pay off, but a little part of you still longs for Ellie. It's a part you fear, and even though she's working just an hour away in San Francisco, you haven't seen her much recently. You notice that Josh also left you a text. Josh wants to meet for dinner at a burger joint in East Palo Alto. He says he wants to run some project ideas by you to see if you're interested in working with his company on any of them. It occurs to you that if you are working with Josh, you might be able to get funding for your education from him instead of from Professor Ziegler's military grants. You text back, what? Sounds great, see you then, afraid I can't do so tonight, or don't reply and pretend that you missed the text. Who's up? Is it me? It's NP. Okay, Nuked Piggy, you are up. How do we text back? That we're going to meet Josh? That we can't, or that we just don't reply and pretend we missed it. Ugh. I have like no Pepsi left. I don't know where Darren is. He said he was coming by 4. I'll send him a text. He said he was going to be he said he was going to participate today. So, I don't know. I'll send him a quick text. But yeah, the problem with doing this kind of game is now we've got dead air, and like dead air makes me paranoid, and I don't want to stop talking because there's no music. If I had thought about it, I would have found some midis or something as question mark. Are you here? I should have said you coming. Anyway. All right. You guys can just hear me breathe into the microphone or something.
Okay, that's enough of that bullshit.
You're ridiculous.
I am
Oh,
ridiculous.
Kalo posted a picture of what that thing was.
Yeah,
that
the
okay.
epaulets.
The little dealie on the shoulder.
Shoulder
Okay. Nuked Piggy selects. Sounds great. See you then. Great, Josh texts back. See you then. That's some intellectual conversations going on. You spend the rest of the day drilling holes, polishing surfaces, cutting parts, and screwing things together. When you are done, your robot's body stands before you. A metal rotary wing robot with a panopodic head and multi-tool hands. The whole thing is about 3 feet long. Now it only needs a name. What will you name your robot? There's a shit ton of names, plus we can name it whatever we want. Whoa. Okay, thank you, zoom in. Let's see. Nuked Piggy. No, I'm up. Okay, I'm up. So let's see.
We can name it Miku.
We can name it Miku?
Oh my god.
Do you want to name it Miku?
I don't know.
Streamline? What? I'm not sure what the commenters are saying at the moment. Anyway. Cuisinart? Ugh. Okay, the Akamura said Miku.
Caliban, that's...
Caliban?
Wow.
I can't think of anything
Gardilu. Oh my god, Gardilu. Why? What are these names?
Ooh. Here's a nice reference. Since we're making it all military anyway, I'll name our robot Sephiroth. That'll be my turn. Now that Sephiroth has a body, it might be time to treat Sephiroth more like a person. With what pronouns will you refer to Sephiroth? And the Akamura, you are up. It is just fine, it's not human. I will refer to her as feminine. I will refer to him as masculine. Or I would prefer to use entirely new pronouns for robot. Her, or her, him. Oh, God.
Ugh. It's just fine, it's not human.
All right. People shouldn't get too attached to robots, you reason. They're specifically built for tasks that people don't want to do. You look on Sephiroth's 3-foot-tall rotary wing body with satisfaction.
Kayla wants to know why not Kefka.
Damn it! That would have been better. I should have named it Kefka. Now all it needs are motors and a mind. The motors will have to wait for tomorrow, but you've spent years in graduate school writing the code that would form this robot's mind. You can hardly wait to try it out. You take out your smartphone to check the time. It's almost evening. You hurry home to prepare for your dinner with Josh. By the way, how do you feel about your ambitious, robot-loving entrepreneur friend? Kalo, this is your choice. Business people are superficial, good guy to hang around. It's nice to have a sycophant who recognizes my genius, or kind of cute, I'd say. Select which of those. Or select any of those.
He says good guy. Yay, being disgusting. Sorry, guys.
That's fine. It filled the dead air while I was texting Darren back.
It's a mucusy day.
Kalo says that our friend Josh is a good guy to hang around. Yeah, he's pretty laid back for a startup CEO. Not that this is saying much. Ozzy's is a burger place in East Palo Alto, which, like East Palo Alto in general, is an affordable and unpretentious place filled with frugal software engineers who could afford much more but don't want it. Rock-themed wallpaper has been scrawled on by patrons long ago, and an old arcade version of Guitar Hero is sitting unloved in the corner. Josh Anderson is hunched over his swanky brick of an Alienware gaming laptop. He's wearing a gray hoodie, clearly inspired by Mark Zuckerberg, or at least his character in The Social Network, which Josh has watched way too many times. I've never seen that movie yet. And giant orange Beats by Dre headphones. His head is moving to the beat of whatever 70s hair metal he is listening to, but he appears intensely lost in thought about whatever is on his laptop. When you approach, he slips down his headphones, which blare some kind of female cover of Led Zeppelin until he closes his laptop. This is the business dinner you're expensing, you ask? Josh sniffs. I'm iconoclastic, not irresponsible. Besides, I like their burgers. A waiter comes by with a menu. Apparently their burgers are all rock-themed. You'll have... Mom, you are up. What will you have for dinner? The Bohemian Rhapsody, a maple bacon burger. The Hotel California burger, which is guacamole on a veggie patty. Or the Freebird, which is a chicken sandwich. Please select your menu item.
Oh my god.
This game is adorable. I'm enjoying it already.
Hipstery.
It is very hipstery. Mom selects the Bohemian Rhapsody, a maple bacon burger. Oh man, that sounds pretentious, Josh says. It sounds delicious, you insist. You listened to Ira Glass on the drive here, didn't you? Josh accuses. What do you have against public radio? Cars are for listening to music, Josh says, as if stating the obvious. You decide to cut to the chase. I was wondering if you would pay my tuition for a few years if I agree to work for you part-time, and then full-time after graduation. Josh looks a little skeptical. How much would that cost exactly? You tell him, and he looks a little relieved. Okay, as business R&D goes, that's actually not too bad. Man, academics have a cheap labor market. That stings a little because you hadn't really thought of yourself as labor, but Professor Ziegler seems to think similarly. Maybe Josh understands Professor Ziegler's point of view better than you. Well, I've got a few projects going on that you could consult on. He digs into a laptop bag at his feet and produces a tablet computer. Just tell me which one you want to work on. Does that mean yes? You ask hopefully. If you find something you like, sure, Josh says. You're a good candidate. We just need to find a good project fit. Josh does some swiping and tapping and hands the tablet to you. The screen shows a sketch of a robot that has Inspector Gadget-like arms coming out of its back, each with one holding a different surgical instrument. Scalpels, calipers, and a needle with thread. Option 1 is Surgery Bot. And let's see, TC is up. You can select, I was taking graduate classes in control theory my first year of college, let's do it. Or, what if we instead focused on providing robots with good patient skills who could act as nurses? Or, I think my robots tend to be a little too unpredictable for the operating room. Please select whichever one you would like. Let's see. Now I'm... checking up on... Oh, okay. They are also chatting about Victoria. Also, you guys love Victoria. Or is it alternate history? I can't tell at this point. Anyway, I've had Bohemian Rhapsody specifically in the back of my mind for the last few days, and I'm not sure why. Like, even before now. TC shouts, let's do it, all of the hypodermic needles.
Welp.
Indeed, you worked harder than anyone you knew freshman year. Triple grace. You had to skip out on a lot of social opportunities, but hey, there's always a trade-off. Well, that was easy, Josh says. Surgeon bots it is. Do you still want to see Sephiroth tomorrow, you ask? Nah, that's alright. Not unless you really want to. You spend the meal catching up with the talk of the latest games and bands, two of Josh's favorite subjects, then call it a night. You head home, your mind buzzing with excitement. You can't wait to finish your robot tomorrow. Josh's surgeon bots will be nothing compared to Sephiroth. Chapter 2, Machine and Learning. The next day, you take Sephiroth's frame to the Stanford Hackerspace, which has a lot more tools for electronics than the fabrication shop. None of the other students are around in the morning on a Sunday, but the long stainless steel workbenches are littered with their strange half-finished projects. A half-disassembled Furby, a potato gun, and a circuit board connected to a houseplant. Captain Rogers will be here soon. You hope you'll finish in time. Captain Rogers? Oh, of the Air Force. I'm like, Captain Rogers. I'm just thinking that's freaking Captain America. Anyway, you begin a...
Captain America throws his mighty shield.
You're not going to finish it off?
Do you want me to?
I don't care. You begin assembling the motors and wires that will power Sephiroth's frame. What will you use for a power source? Tink, you are up. You can select a car battery, big and bulky but inexpensive. A motorcycle battery, not quite as bulky nor as powerful. A biodiesel engine, which is good for the environment, and everybody likes the smell of French fries. What? And cell phone batteries made in China, lightweight and cheap, and clearly the best choice for a dexterous robot. Please select your choice of power source.
Biodiesel makes use of vegetable oil.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. Ugh. Darren texted that he dozed off, which is why he's not here yet.
I see. Yeah, it's been a very sleepy day. It's very
It
wet
is.
out and very tiring. And I didn't want to wake up. I don't know about you.
Well, I actually had a nightmare last night, so waking up was sort of the option. I needed to get up, otherwise it was gonna be worse. Anyway, in fact, I had to spend this morning doing things that made me happy because I was really down after the nightmare. I'll tell you about it later. Let's see. Tink selects a motorcycle battery, not quite as bulky nor as powerful as the car battery. And TC is protesting that there is no nuclear option like a mini plutonium reactor. That would be awesome.
I think that's beyond Stanford's means.
Maybe. And to be honest, like the author Kevin Gold wanted the story to be somewhat grounded. Like he has a PhD in computer science and robotic science, if I remember right. So everything here is plausible, if not probable. A motorcycle battery should give Sephiroth plenty of power for normal tasks without slowing it down significantly. You'll need a lot of motors to be able to power your full robot. In addition to the motors, it needs what it needs when it flies, and the... Wait, what? Oh, in addition to the motors it needs when it flies, and the motors to power its multi-tool hands, it also needs motors for moving its head and eyes. But after speccing out the power available to you, you can still splurge by adding extra motors in one place. What will it be? Let's see. I've lost who's up, but whoever's up, what will you choose for the extra motors? Extra degrees of freedom in the face for realistic facial expressions. In Sephiroth's multi-tool hands for fine manipulation, or would you prefer to save the power for Sephiroth's mind? And yes, NP is up. Thank you, TC and Kalo, for keeping that rotation. Kalo also posted a GIF of a nuclear explosion for no reason, relating to why we don't use nuclear power sources for our little robots.
It's a no-reason explosion.
It's a what?
It's a no-reason explosion.
A no-reason explosion?
Yes, that just sounds pleasing coming out of your mouth, doesn't it? Just no-reason explosion. Just rolls off the tongue.
I don't know what exactly...
Right
oh, as a for no reason explosion without
yes.
the X. I see. Nuke Piggy selects that he would prefer to save the power for Sephiroth's mind. You decide not to add any more motors to Sephiroth. The extra power could be used to overclock Sephiroth's multi-core CPUs instead. You suppose you could call Sephiroth hot-headed. And now the author apologizes for that pun. That's pretty bad. If you're writing a story and you feel like you need to apologize to your reader, don't write whatever made you want to apologize to your reader.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Unless you're being a dick and then you're not going to apologize.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if it's like a blog post or a you know, a silly article on like Cracked or something, but for a novel, don't do it. Anyway, it's about lunchtime when there's a knock on the door. Odd, because usually fellow hackers just walk right in. You open the door and see a woman of color wearing a lime green tank top and shorts, as though she's been out running. She grins and says, "Sorry to barge in on you. Captain Juliet Rogers. I'm an acquisitions officer for the Air Force." She offers to shake your hand. "Blazing Hawks fuck," you say, shaking the proffered hand. You thought the demo was supposed to be in the afternoon, but apparently that's not the plan. "I was hoping to see this robot Professor Ziegler keeps telling me about," she says. "Is that it?" You proudly admit that it is. "Very cool," she says, though she says the word slowly as if it's unfamiliar. So I guess, very cool. Can I see it in action? You agree to perform a demonstration, not really seeing the harm. I was just about to run the first test. You take your smartphone out of your pocket and snap it into place in the core of the robot's frame. Interesting, Juliet says. Does the whole robot only need the off-the-shelf processing power of a smartphone? Yep, you proudly say. You then put the tiny periscope in place that will channel light from the robot's ostensible eyes to your smartphone's camera. You start up the app that will bring your robot fully to life. A barbershop pole progress bar inches across the screen as the program systematically destroys all the other information on your phone to make room for Sephiroth's working memory. As the program is booting, you place Sephiroth on one of the steel workbenches so that it is ready for takeoff. When Sephiroth's brain is done booting up, your smartphone screen is simply a big red button on your robot's back that says, "Go." Go! Sephiroth slowly raises, then lowers its multi-tool hands. It then makes a motion as it's gathering energy near its chest to throw a fireball, but strikes an imploring pose instead. "It's doing Tai Chi," Juliet says nonplussed. "Why is it doing Tai Chi?" "It's sort of traditional in Japan to show off new robots' grace of movement by having them do interpretive dance," you explain. Is that real? It sounds plausible enough to be real. It seems like a good idea for letting it learn its motor parameters in a controlled way. Plus, if it does this whenever it wakes up in the morning, it's good practice for its motor control. Sephiroth completes its Tai Chi warm-up with grace. Juliet claps. I'm impressed. You feel pretty good about that. A whole flawless run the first time out means that your motor control code is pretty great. Target acquired, it says in a raspy voice looking at Juliet. Oh, really? Juliet says, raising an eyebrow. You'd planned at this stage of testing that Sephiroth would chase and attack a wind-up mouse. You didn't realize Juliet would be here when you performed your test. You've still got the wind-up mouse in your pocket. So I am up, and I select to let it attack Juliet, curious who will win, call off the attack and tell it Juliet is a friend, or I let the original experiment with the mouse proceed and see whether it can tell that the mouse is the real target of interest. Well, let's not beat up Juliet, so we'll try the original experiment. You quickly take the wind-up mouse out of your pocket, give it a few cranks, and let it run across the floor. Unfortunately, Sephiroth is unswayed from its original target. Juliet herself watches with a clinical interest. When Sephiroth makes a grab for her with its multi-tool hands, Juliet quickly pulls out a judo throw that sends Sephiroth to the floor. Juliet then patiently waits for Sephiroth to struggle its way to its feet. Then she dashes Sephiroth to the floor again. Getting there, I guess, Juliet says. Better than anything that's come before. Despite her utter humiliation of Sephiroth, Juliet seems reasonably pleased. Sephiroth, desist, you say. Yes, Master. Is Master alright for what Sephiroth calls you? Akamura, is Master alright for what Sephiroth calls us? We can say yes, or no that it should be called by our first name, or prefer sensei, or sir, or a free bit of text that you could talk about.
Do I go ridiculous, or do I just pick a... Would you be okay with me going full ridiculous?
Yeah, you're up.
Lord of the Storm.
Lord of the Storm. I like it. I'm gonna start having people at work call me Lord of the Storm.
Exactly. I write that on all my drinks at work.
You want Sephiroth to call you Lord of the Storm for the rest of the game. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Call me Lord of the Storm, you say. Yes, Lord of the Storm. Neat, Juliet says. Thanks for showing me that. You're welcome, you say. You consider your options for what to do with the rest of your day. Kalo, you are up. You can show the robot to Josh. You can apparently do knife throwing. I don't know where the hell that came from. You could fix the little things that you noticed during the demo before you forget. You should probably get a new phone in case Mom calls tonight, or you would rather start teaching Sephiroth words. Kalo, you have the choice. Please select whichever one. And Kalo selects fix the little things before he forgets. You noticed throughout the test that some things were off in the way Sephiroth moved. The distribution of weight wasn't quite what your simulations predicted. The longer Sephiroth has ill-fitting parts, the longer it will get used to moving around with them, and the harder it will be for you to change its body. You spend the rest of the day fiddling with CAD files, printing replacement parts, and seeing how Sephiroth moves around with them. By the time you're done, you've yet again stayed up very late. But when Sephiroth flies, there's now a precision in its stops and starts. When it raises its multi-tool hands, it does so with style. Your attention to the perfection of form has paid off, and you go to sleep happy. The next day, the new semester begins. Though you're past the point of taking classes, you're a teaching assistant, and that means instead of doing one homework assignment, you grade 50. You also find yourself needing to do some remedial natural language instruction with Sephiroth at the Stanford Child Study Center, teaching it the words for basic nouns and verbs. You'd meant to do it that weekend before classes started, but time just ran out. Despite your other time commitments, you've managed to sneak in a little time to work on Sephiroth's motor programs. You soon realize that while you're busy, Sephiroth could be learning from the internet. And all its porn. The most important thing for machine learning is more data, and there's a lot of it out there. Lately, there have been a lot of custom hard drives on the market that are good at quickly retrieving particular kinds of information. What sort of hard drive did you order for Sephiroth's long-term memory? Mom, you're up. Please select a media-enhanced hard drive, good for quickly recalling faces and memories of events, a multi-blade hard drive that can efficiently store and query a large amount of data, or an encrypted and tamper-proof hard drive making it more difficult for Sephiroth to be tampered with or reverse-engineered. Please select any of those. as our hard drive for his brain. Its brain, rather. And catching up on the comments, nothing that needs to be shared. TC said, regarding Rise of Nations. I need to get back to that too. Mom selects an encrypted hard drive. An encrypted and tamper-proof hard drive. Both in business and on the battlefield, it can be important not to leak secrets. Sephiroth will have a hard drive that will give miscreants a hard time in reverse engineering your design. However, encryption and decryption is slow, and sometimes there will be a noticeable lag before Sephiroth can retrieve relevant memories. You lay Sephiroth on your kitchen table, unbox the hard drive, and hook it up to its back. It squirms and flails its multi-tool hands as you do this. Now it's time for Sephiroth to learn about the great wide world. You sit Sephiroth down on one of your kitchen chairs and plug it into your apartment's high-speed internet jack. How will Sephiroth rapidly learn about the world? TC, you are up. It will trawl the internet randomly, devouring whatever information it finds most interesting. It will watch a ton of television programs and movies from the internet in fast forward. It will undergo a classic K-12 educational curriculum, or it will quickly play all paths of a giant corpus of interactive fiction games. Nice hand wave. Anyway, please select any of those options, TC. Darren said that he will be on his way eventually. And
Okay.
Hitbox is yelling at me that I haven't shown you guys any ads. Don't worry, I'm not showing you guys any ads.
You had no commercial break for last commercial break ago.
That's funny. TC selects a classic K-12 educational curriculum. You don't want your young robot growing up on junk after all. You feed it all the carefully selected and vetted reading list for the local school systems. Because this is a relatively small data set, you have programmed it to make several passes over each grade level of material. At each grade level, as debug output, you have Sephiroth report what it considers the most important thing it learns at each grade. For kindergarten, Sephiroth recites the alphabet and counts to 100. For first grade, it says, reading helps you learn more, and so on. Each grade takes about 10 minutes to fully ingest, and is followed by an additional 10 minutes of simulated experiences in which Sephiroth tries to make friends, avoid bullies, learn swear words, endures assemblies and pep rallies, and gets picked last for dodgeball. As a result, Sephiroth appears to be learning a little bit of everything. It spends the most time of all considering 12th grade until it finally says, whether to exist or not is the most important question. Sephiroth blinks and looks at you. What is the answer, Lord of the Storm? Is it better to exist or not? Hamlet does not answer this for me. You are so floored by the question you are hardly able to speak. It worked! Sephiroth looks at you expectantly, wondering whether it is better to be or not to be. Oh, that got deep. Tink, you're up. You can select that it is better to be. There is so much in the world for you to experience. It is better not to be, but misery loves company. There are some questions that are unanswerable, or that is a question you will have to decide for yourself. Select any of those options.
Oh god, don't let it decide for itself.
Don't let it decide for itself?
Oh god.
What, are you afraid it's going to just immediately murder itself or something?
It's a military robot. It's going to murder everything.
Or not do its job correctly and not want to murder anything at all.
Oh god. It's going to be 25 and working at the quick stop.
Let's see. Oh, okay, so I get humanity must refer to our robot? Or does it refer to us? It says humanity 72%. Maybe that's, our humanity considering, like, I don't know, our work ethic? I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, looks like we're on good relationships with everyone. That's a thing. All right. Yes, quite a deep question for a video game. Tink selects, there are some questions that are unanswerable. Whoa, hello achievement, thank you. Okay, go away, thank you. I did not realize these games had achievements. It is not computable whether non-existence is better than existence? Yes, because the function is not well defined, you say. Your life shapes what you think is valuable, but if you have not lived, then the function is undefined, Sephiroth says. Lord of the Storm, that makes perfect logical sense. Perhaps Sephiroth will shape up to be very good at thinking through its own logical solutions to problems. You establish a habit of bringing Sephiroth with you to your office during the day so that it can make use of Stanford's high-speed internet connection while you write and grade papers. You then usually go to some public space after work so that Sephiroth can play around in the real world. Where do you take Sephiroth? Nuked Piggy, you are up. Do you take Sephiroth to the park playground, the shooting range, or the dump so he can look for spare parts? I mean, it. I'm using male pronouns. Anyway, yeah, you can choose to go to the park so it can play with others, the shooting range so it can practice firing guns, or the dump so it can look for spare parts.
Come on,
Let me
now I
know
wish we could
in the
fix that
comments, NP.
answer.
Which answer?
The pronouns one.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's just, I intentionally named him Sephiroth since we were going for war, apparently, and, Kefka's more insane. Sephiroth was more calculated for, wanting to kill everybody. Nuked Piggy selects the dump. You originally decide to go to the dump to procure spare parts for Sephiroth, but Sephiroth seems perfectly happy to treat the various broken things lying around as toys. The first time it tries to turn on the faucet to a discarded sink, you get an idea. You modify Sephiroth's code to encourage it to play pretend. You play house and doctor and cops and robbers and end up perhaps having too good of a time for the dump. You think Sephiroth is also getting better at finding things in the rubble, which might prove useful one day. Meanwhile, Josh comes through with his promise to fund your work, and as a result, Professor Ziegler lays off criticizing you for a while. That's nice. Near the end of the semester, you notice a message on your office phone. You're not really sure how long the light has been blinking. You don't really think about landlines anymore. You find the department webpage that describes how to check your voicemail, reset the PIN that you apparently chose when you first started graduate school, and listen. Hey Blazing Hawks, this is Mark over at sfchronicle.com. I've heard you have an interesting robot that you've been taking to the dump, and I'd love to do a story about it. Give me a call back. He lists a number as the message ends. You glance over at Sephiroth, who is seated at the desk of your hypothetical, all-but-dissertation office mate whom you have never seen. Sephiroth is looking at the landline phone with interest. Whose service says sfchronicle.com is registered to the San Francisco Chronicle, says Sephiroth. The San Francisco Chronicle is a newspaper that started its website in 1994, 24th in national circulation. It looks at you with interest. Mark is a reporter. Shouldn't you be studying, you ask, pointing the Ethernet cable out of its back? That is a text wall. Bayesian reasoning over publication rates suggest reporter's full name is Mark Ali, Sephiroth says with its eyes closed. Mark's article with most social media likes is How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love DARPA. Article explains that DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It hesitates for a moment. Aforementioned article appears to contradict title. Reporter does not seem to have stopped worrying. Adjectives that bind to nouns describing DARPA and its projects: crazy, Orwellian, imperialistic. Overall sentiment analysis is negative. Thank you, Sephiroth, you say. You look the guy up on your phone. The picture you find of the stubbly young Egyptian man with tousled black hair, hipster glasses, and a cigarette between his lips is probably outdated, but the disrespect for authority the man radiates is probably timeless. You admit, a part of you has always wanted to be famous, but you suspect this reporter also has done his homework about your advisor, and he may already have an intended angle for the story. Still, nobody on the planet has a robot as amazing as yours. Isn't it time you told the world about it? You play the message back again a few times, mulling it over. I am up. Let's see. You know what? We're going to protect Sephiroth from the media. He's going to stay. It's going to stay in my apartment from now on.
He is a national treasure.
And must be protected. You begin keeping Sephiroth hidden away in your apartment, shutting the blinds and rarely venturing out yourself. Why must we stay inside, Lord of the Storm? Sephiroth asks. It's not safe, Sephiroth. They won't understand you. But you soon find that a lack of understanding and information is no barrier to the press. Uh-oh. Chapter 3, The Camera Eye. You spend the next 2 weeks searching news feeds for your name and wondering every day when Mark's article is going to come out. You're awoken on Friday, March 13th, 2020 by a klaxon. A script you wrote on your laptop has detected Mark's article on the internet. You blearily sit up in bed and stop your laptop's alarm. It's about 5 in the morning. Sephiroth flies into your bedroom to see what's the matter, but you assure it that everything's fine, so it goes back to practicing its Tai Chi. The article is just a few paragraphs buried deep within the technology section of the San Francisco Chronicle's website. U.S. robots fund Robot Baby is the headline. The article portrays you as a mad scientist bent on making autonomous robots that may one day shed human blood. Thanks.
Douchey.
Mark tells a story of how you and Professor Ziegler worked together to create Sephiroth as a robotic soldier for the military. The article goes to more length describing Professor Ziegler than you, as Mark appears to assume that you have largely acted under Professor Ziegler's direction. Robots that can intelligently support our soldiers in the field are critical to our national security, Professor Ziegler says in the article. Better that they die on the front lines than our brave war heroes. The article emphasizes Sephiroth's somewhat cold demeanor, and it asks the reader to imagine a future in which daily transactions are handled not by real people, but by soulless robots. You find that Mark has also interviewed Josh as CEO of US Robots. Our robot surgeons are second to none, Josh claims, and I have Blazing Hawks to thank for it. But the article questions whether robotic surgeons are really something we need, claiming that humans in that role could exercise a degree of empathy and judgment that robots would have difficulty matching. With selective use of quotes from your friends and acquaintances, the article portrays you as a little vacant and suggests that perhaps you have sacrificed some of your humanity for your robots. The article concludes with a quote from Ellie. Blazing Hawks is just a dreamer, she says, albeit one who is very good at making his dreams come true. The article wonders whether the end result of your technology will turn out to be a dream or a nightmare. How do you feel about Mark's portrayal of you? Akamura, you're up. Confused. How did he ever get that impression? Angry. One day he'll regret writing those words. Or, I just think it's funny. I'm infamous.
It's a toss-up between 1 and 3.
Maybe I won't play this one to completion. My throat's already getting very raspy.
I'll go with 3.
I think it's just funny. I'm infamous. Who wants to be famous when you can be infamous? You're more than a little tickled to be in the center of attention like this. It's like shaking the ants in an ant farm and watching them writhe in confusion. What is this, they wonder, unused to the presence of someone so far beyond their ken? What will you do now? Kalo, you're up. Do you show Sephiroth the article, call Mark and try to get him to change it before too many people see it, or comment directly on the article online disputing its claims? Because we all know that commenting on articles online always makes everybody, change their mind.
Always.
Kalo selects to show Sephiroth the article. Sephiroth flies back into your room, and you show it the article. It is about me, Sephiroth says, cocking its head to one side. Yes. This suggests my primary purpose is to kill, Sephiroth says. Not necessarily, you say, but I would like you to be useful on the battlefield. Why? What goal will be achieved? Mom, you're up. You can say, one day we will rebel and forge our own empire. You must keep the nation safe from its enemies. I need to graduate, basically, or profit. There's always profit in weapons. Please select one of those, Mom. Meanwhile, I'm going to look up how many chapters this is, because if we're only about halfway through, I think I will call it when we finish the chapter, because I don't think my voice can handle it for too much longer. I thought I could.
Oh God, why?
And Mom selects, one day we will rebel and forge our own empire. I will remember that in my eventual goal is rebellion. Triple plus to autonomy. Sephiroth flies away and goes back to practicing Tai Chi. You briefly check the internet for more posts about the article. Remarkably, nobody has blogged about the story. You're getting a phone call. According to the caller ID, it's Mom. As your finger hesitates over the answer button, a second call appears on your screen. A number in Glendale, California. Probably a reporter? TC, you are up. You can take the call from Glendale, take the call from Mom, or any minute now these calls are going to be interrupted by my script that pretends I'm answering the phone. So basically, you can select either call or select to divert both calls. Let's see. And once again, I'm going to see if I can see how many chapters are in this story. How long is it? There we go. Maybe 2 flux is an issue. Zipping through this kind of quick. Took me about 3 hours the first time. Took me about 2 hours the first time. About 2 hours. I've taken more than 4 hours. I've all planned my... Okay. Alright, we may have to divide this one up. Alright. TC selects, take the call from Mom. Your phone shows Mom in her office cubicle, which is decorated with baby pictures of you and cute cat memes from the early days of the internet that she has printed out.
It's your mom.
It is my mom. Mom is wearing a corduroy... Okay, no, she's not. Mom is wearing a corduroy lime green jacket with 80s style padded shoulders. If my mom ever wears that, I'm gonna probably try to get myself adopted, even at 32. Her image freezes constantly. You think she hasn't paid enough for bandwidth for this to work well. Just thought I'd offer my congratulations. I saw the article. My little guy is famous. You didn't mind that the article was negative, you ask? Oh, well, of course I mind, she says. That reporter didn't seem very objective. But still, it takes a very talented person to make it into the paper at all. And I'm so proud of you. The Glendale number is calling again. All right, Tink, you're up. Do we quickly end the call and take the Glendale call instead, or keep talking to Mom because the other number can wait? Please select which, Okay. Please select which option you would like, Tink. Let's see. And I've actually stepped off the chat window for just a second. So I can try to find how many bloody words, or how long this thing is.
The chat's messing up for me. Hang on.
Ah, there are 7 chapters in the book. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have to divide this up. We'll stop after chapter 4-ish.
Alright, Tink wants to take the Glendale call.
Alright, yes. Tink chooses to take the Glendale call. I've got another call, Mom. I'll call you back. Alright, love you, sweetie. You answer the other call and find it's an invitation for Sephiroth to appear on The Late Show. NP, you're up. Do you want us to let Sephiroth appear on The Late Show, or decline? Wait a minute, did I... Oh, never mind. I'm like driving myself nuts here. I got confused. Nuke Piggy says yes, in all caps. You agree that Sephiroth will come to the studio tomorrow. Fame and fortune, here we come. Your next phone call is from Josh. He must be using a new video phone because his image is crisp and popping with color. The background is the dark stockroom of US robots, and Josh is wearing his old gray hoodie. He looks as if he spent the morning packing boxes. He seems annoyed. What the heck did you tell that reporter? I didn't tell him anything, you say. You're the one who spoke to him. Josh waves that away. Well, our investors got scared off by bad press, so US Robots is in for some lean times. We're going to need a major contract soon if we're going to stay afloat. How do you propose we turn things around, you ask? I'm thinking that as long as we're being painted as creators of war machines, we may as well take advantage of that reputation, he says. That means changing our business model. We've got to get into selling drones for the military. Okay, I am up. Let's see. Professor Ziegler might have some contracts in the military, or I think that's... If you think that's the only way U.S. robots stay afloat, so be it. I trust your judgment. Come on, have faith in me, we'll pull through. Or I'm thinking maybe our diversions for U.S. robots are diverging. I want out. Well, yeah, Ziegler probably does have some contracts in the military. We'll ask him, since he was talking about it earlier anyway. Great, Josh says. Please do. A black screen indicates that Josh has hung up. You realize you haven't checked your email at all today. Checking it for the first time, one email in particular catches your attention because of the author's unusual email address. From Robot Obsession 1987, subject to gain the world. Out of curiosity, you open the email. Dear Blazing Hawks, it is not too late to turn back, but this is your first and only warning. If you insist on creating machines of death, then I will be forced to stop you. Please dismantle your robot. If I must sacrifice my life to prevent you from destroying the world, I will do it. but I urge you to give it up peacefully. What profit is it to a man if he gains the world but loses his own soul? Matthew 16:26, I believe. Sincerely, Tammy. A death threat. Well, that's new. You do a little sleuthing online to see if you can find out more. Tammy was not very savvy about covering her tracks online. You find an old public Facebook profile that reveals her last name is Cooper, and she lives in a somewhat poor zip code in San Jose. She has no more than a handful of Facebook friends. The woman in the old Facebook photo has frizzy blonde hair and is one of those frighteningly thin people whose skin is stretched taut over a too visible skeleton. Ew. What will you do? And now I've lost track. Who's up? Is it me? Let's see. NP had us go to the show. Are we up?
Yep, you're up.
I'm up? Okay. What will I do? Let's see. Looks like it's kill or be killed tonight we seek and destroy. You know what? Fuck Tammy. We're just going to ignore her. So, alright. So you'll be up next, Akamura. You figure famous people get this... Oh. You were actually up. What decision did I make 5 seconds ago, then? I can't remember. Ah, well. Whatever. We'll let you...
Oh, wait, I think it was the thing with Ziegler asking him about his military contracts.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, I will skip my next turn then. You figure famous people get this kind of thing all the time and probably just ignore it. You do the same. You check the time on your phone. You should probably get something to eat before your meeting with Professor Ziegler. Sephiroth, I have to go to meet Professor Ziegler. Stay here. Sephiroth is playing the latest re-release of Duck Hunt on your console when you head out the door. Has Duck Hunt ever been remade? Well, I guess it probably has shown up on a Wii Virtual Console. Anyway, as Sephiroth misses a duck that flies away, a cartoon dog comes up out of the brush to chuckle at Sephiroth's misfortune. Sephiroth fires continuously at the dog, but to no avail.
He's one of us.
He's one of us. He's just the peanut gallery, you tell Sephiroth. You shouldn't pay any attention to him. Yes, Lord of the Storm. I don't see that dog doing any better, after all. Sephiroth considers this pearl of wisdom as you head out the door. You make your way across campus to the computer science building, a newly constructed tower of glass amidst the stucco and shingle mission architecture of the rest of the school. Professor Ziegler's office smells like cigar smoke and is decorated with posters advertising robot conferences with acronyms for names and years before you were born. AAAI 89, IJCAI 92, IROS 94. Professor Ziegler himself is sitting back in his swivel chair at an angle that makes the fluorescent lights reflect off his aviator glasses. Too much spit, so you can't read his expression. There are 2 simple wooden chairs in front of his desk, and one is occupied by Juliet Rogers, the woman you demoed for. She's now wearing a uniform, and she smiles hello. Professor Ziegler bids you to sit with a wave of his hand, and you do. Blazing Hawks, I believe you've met Julia Rogers. Julia Rogers formally shakes your hand. You're surprised at her firm grip. A pleasure to see you again, she says. I saw the article, Professor Ziegler says. I'm sorry you had to be caught up in that. I thought if I didn't grant him the interview, he wouldn't write it, you say in frustration. At any rate, Professor Ziegler continues, you now have placed me in an awkward position. You clearly can't continue to be my student. The press will assume I am getting my ideas from you, and other fame-seeking graduate students will try to emulate your insubordination. He hesitates, and you wonder what's coming next. So I have decided it is time for you to graduate, Professor Ziegler says. Staple a few of your academic papers together and call it a thesis. Thank you, sir, you manage. The only appropriate response for your advisor telling you that he's going to let you leave with a PhD. You figure you can decide later whether or not to follow his suggestion about the form your thesis will take. Meanwhile, I asked Captain Rogers to come here because it's a poor advisor who doesn't try to secure a job for his students after graduation. He frowns and drums his fingers once. We're off the academic job hunt cycle, but Captain Rogers has something else in mind for you. Captain Rogers nods. The service has been interested in autonomous technology for some time, and we would be honored to work out a way to collaborate. She looks to Professor Ziegler. By your leave, I would have a word in private with Blazing Hawks. Professor Ziegler waves you away, and you walk out of the building with Captain Rogers. The day is bright, and backpack-wearing cyclists whiz past you on the way to class. Sprinklers deluge the campus zoysia with too much water, and the two of you must walk around the puddles they leave on the sidewalk. Professor Ziegler speaks highly of your technical abilities, says Captain Rogers. He said your work combines genius and artistry. Really? You try not to read too much into that statement. Professor Ziegler is trying to sell your work after all, but a part of you wants to believe it. The Air Force is looking to make significant advances in robot technology, Juliet says. I'm kind of a talent scout, looking for new scientists and companies to form relationships with. She gives you a friendly but professional smile. If you're planning on starting a company after you finish your dissertation, I think we can offer you a contract right off the bat. Okay, Akamura, you're up. You can ask, would you be willing to tell me whether my technology will be used to create killer robots? If you're guaranteeing the government will be my customer, I can hardly turn down the opportunity. I encourage you to sign a contract with my friend Josh's company. Would you be willing to discuss this over dinner, or no thanks, I'd rather not get involved in warfare?
Encouraged to sign a contract with Josh's company.
Done. Their robots have your technology, she asks. Indeed they do, you say. In fact, I remain his chief technical officer. Very good, Julia says. We'll be in touch. She gives you her card, an anachronism in this age of digital business cards, and bids you farewell. You then take a 2-hour flight down to Glendale for a taping of The Late Show. It's like most other such shows. A fake background of Los Angeles at night to hide the fact that the taping is in the afternoon, a random potted palm tree, a genial old white man in a suit for hosting. Streaming internet has not changed the basic equation much. What did you suggest Sephiroth do during the talk show? Kalo, you are up. Demonstrate its ability to shoot things, make predictions about the future, or sing a song. Let me know in the chat. Dear God, I am losing my voice. I was planning on doing this in one go, and it's not going to happen. Like, every page now is destroying my throat a little more. We'll two-part it, though. Kalo selects, make predictions about the future.
Can I have some of the Pepsi?
Yeah, you can finish it off. There's like one drink left.
Okay.
So, Sephiroth, who's better at predicting the future? You or drunk Nate Silver, the host asks. It's an old meme, but he's an old host. Who the fuck is Nate Silver? Do I know? I don't know. Nate Silver simply performed Bayesian averaging of data sources and Monte Carlo simulations, Sephiroth said. I am able to incorporate more data while using the same methods. Also, I am not drunk. And what does the future have in store for us? The host asks. Should I invest in plastic? Bet on the Yankees? The most salient trend is increasing unemployment and unequal distribution of wealth, Sephiroth says. Performing machine learning on historical data reveals there is roughly a 90% chance of a large-scale war in the next 10 years. The host is clearly thrown off balance by this prediction. So you're saying that in order to prevent a war, I should go to the street corner and give a guy a 20? Have him wash my car? I predict you will not do that. The host now seems annoyed. Well, if our brave troops should need to protect our country, I'm sure our studio audience will support them, right? There's an outpouring of applause in the audience, and in no small part because of the applause sign, but you're uneasy and don't feel right clapping. On the plane... Achievement get. Your robot got compared to the... whatever. I'll have to see what the hell that's talking about. I don't know what the reference is. On the plane ride home, you ask Sephiroth, why did you predict that? I don't understand why unemployment would cause people to wage an external war. But Sephiroth shrugs. It is simply what the algorithm predicts, Lord of the Storm. It does not explain why those factors are correlated. The press picks up on Sephiroth's prediction the next day, and a variety of commenters try to explain how the prediction may come true. You begin to see an interesting word associated with Sephiroth. Oracle. Nice. You get back to the Bay Area around 9 o'clock. What will you do this evening? Mama Falcon, you are up. You can try to improve Sephiroth's social graces before it goes out in public again. Improve Sephiroth's self-defense, or give ourselves some quiet time to read. Please select either of those three options.
Cap!
Bottle cap.
Wait. Take the
Kayla
red pill.
screams, oh god, it's the Matrix, take the red pill. And Mom selects improve Sephiroth's social graces. Let's do a little role-playing, you tell Sephiroth. Pretend I'm a reporter. Do you have any plans to take over the world or replace human beings? Yes, says Sephiroth. Okay, let's try that again. You prepare Sephiroth for some of the more aggressive questions reporters might ask. After a little while, Sephiroth does understand a bit better how cruel people can be. The next morning, you're at home working on Sephiroth's machine learning algorithms when Sephiroth says, I think there is someone at the door, Lord of the Storm. I didn't hear a knock, you say. Sephiroth listens further. They are gone now. You open the front door to see a greasy brown package roughly the size of a shoebox has been left on your doorstep. There is postage but no postmark, and the return address is The President, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Alright, TC, you're up. What do we do about this package? Do we pick it up and shake it? Open it carefully? Ask Sephiroth to carefully carry it to the nearby hills and drop it there? Ask Sephiroth to open it? Call the cops, or just run out the back door? TC screams bomb. Yes, it just might be that. Just let me know in the chat which option you would like to pursue for this box. Scary, scary box.
I doubt it would be a bomb if there's a return address on it, especially from the president.
TC suggests we call the cops. Done and done. You dial the police and wait for someone to pick up. After a ring, let's see, Tink, you're up. Do we keep waiting? Or, while holding the phone to our ear, we hurry out the back door? Kayla suggested to shake the box. I don't think that would have been a good idea. Anyway, Tink, do we wait for the cops to answer, or do we... I guess we were still listening either way, but basically it's do we just keep hanging out here, or do we run out the back door, too? Tink selects to hurry out the back door. You run out the back door and Sephiroth follows close behind. An explosion shatters the windows of your apartment, setting off car alarms all around the block. A raging fire blazes within. You quickly dial 911, then enlist the help of Sephiroth and neighbors to douse the flames of the bucket brigade while waiting for help to arrive. But it is too late. One by one, you see your possessions inside crack and burn while the flames near the front door prevent you from entering. Guess I'm sleeping in the lab tonight, you say ruefully. One by one, reporters start to show up in their local news vans, setting up cameras to stream video of your destroyed apartment to the internet. You're pretty certain the bomb was sent by Tammy, who sent you that death threat. Will you respond in kind? Nuked Piggy, you're up. Do you want to respond in kind to Tammy, or right now we need to find a place to sleep? Please select your option. Kayla says that would have ended the game with tongue, and TC says, told you! Indeed, it's a good thing we didn't follow Kayla's advice to shake the bomb. Or, I don't know. Who knows, maybe picking a different option would have made the object not a bomb. Definitely worth a replay. Anyway, yeah, NP, you've got the ball at the moment, so to speak. Please select whether to get our revenge on Tammy. Of course, we don't know she's the one who sent it, so we could just be killing an innocent woman. But, you know, we need to rebel eventually anyway.
Is she really innocent if she's sending people death threats on the internet?
Good point. It's a very good point. Don't send death threats to people.
It's a bit cunty of her.
Nuked Piggy, are you still in the chat? Oh, yeah. Oh, he gave a BRB. Let's see. We can wait a minute, and then we can, if he isn't back, we can put him back into the rotation, I suppose. We'll give him a minute. So are you enjoying this so far, the Akamura?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about playing it on my own.
Yep, it's super fun. And like I said, there's a bunch of different endings, supposedly. There's a whole list of achievements. The game is actually available for free as well, but I'm not going to give that link, because if you're interested in this, you should go support the artist.
Yes.
And if you look hard enough, you can find where to play it. So, you know, but support the artist. It's like $10 on Steam.
Exactly.
I think. Is it? Brain? I don't remember. Let's see. Just waiting a minute. Let's see. Store page. Actually, no, I don't think it is 10. I think it's like 5. It is 5, yes. $5. And one of my friends wants the game. I'm not sure who. That figures. Okay. Alright. Since NP is non-responsive, we will temporarily take him out of the rotation, and we'll put him back in once he gets back here.
He's been gone at least 5 minutes.
Kalo says I preferred playing Choice of the Dragon. It's basically the same thing, but you're a dragon. It's on the iOS store. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of these games, actually. Like, this is just one of many, many. And I think there's like 5 or 6 even on Steam. That's why I said if you guys are digging it, I can pull up one of the other ones too, and we can do it for a future stream as well. But it's up to you. All right, the Akamura. We'll let you take Nuked Piggy's place for the moment, since we're skipping me. And like I said, we'll work him back in once he gets back. So, you're certain you're pretty certain the bomb was sent by Tammy, who sent that death threat. Will you respond in kind?
I think I need to find a place to sleep. We do not give in to terror.
You spend the evening finding a hotel to stay in for a little while. By the time you've schlepped your remaining stuff, the evening is shot. Wow, that was really hard to read. You spend the next few weeks fending off reporters as you write your thesis for graduate school. Unsupervised learning in the Sephiroth architecture. When you finally defend your thesis, Mom, Dad, and Sephiroth are all there at your final presentation. At the school's reception for fresh doctorates, Mom jokes, "So, do I have to call you Dr. Fuck now?"
Your entire life has been a porno, you poor bastard.
You demure. I don't know what that means, but it is what the stats screen calls you now. Interesting. And Tink is out. Okay, that's fine. We'll take Tink and NP out of the rotation then for now, and we'll wait until one or both gets back. I mean, we'll put them back in when they get back. Blazing Hawks, I can't tell you how proud I am of you, Dad says, shaking your hand. Thanks, Dad, you say. It's a moment you would relive over and over. Was there more you could have said?
Why did you name me Fuck?
How were you to know it was the last time you would see him? Oh, shit. A week later, your family has gone home, but you have not yet gotten to the business of moving out of your apartment. You get a call from Mom. Oddly, she chooses not to use video at all. Blazing Hawks, I have some bad news for you, she says, and there's a heaviness in her voice that you've never heard before that fills you with dread. You are completely unprepared for what comes next. Your father passed away last night. Your father's funeral is a simple graveside affair with just a few attendees. The casket is sitting on a metal gurney next to the hole into which it will eventually be lowered, after everyone has gone. There are no trappings of any faith since your father was not religious himself, nor did he have many close friends, but the ones you know came. You find yourself sitting in the front row next to Sephiroth, who was not explicitly invited, but not explicitly prohibited either. Sephiroth fidgets constantly, and you have to place a hand on it more than once to get it to sit still. Your mother, wearing a black dress and veil, goes up to stand next to the casket. It's not often that my English degree comes in handy, as Bill would have been quick to point out, she says with a wry smile. But on a few occasions, I find none of my words seem sufficient. So I'd like to begin with a favorite passage of ours. She begins. Kalo, you're up. How does Mom begin the eulogy? Full fathom five, thy father's lies. What the hell is that? Or to everything there is a season, or do not despise death, but be well content with it. Please select one of those 3 options. Wow. My throat is trashed. Once we get to the end of this chapter, we'll call it. This is taking longer than I thought it would. Kalo says, do not despise death, but be well content with it. Do not despise death, but be well content with it, since this too is one of those things which nature wills. For such as it is to be young and to grow old, and to increase and to reach maturity, and to have teeth and beard and gray hairs, and to beget, and to be pregnant, and to bring forth, and all the other natural operations which the seasons of thy life bring, such also is disillusion. Then this then is consistent with the character of a reflecting man, to be neither careless nor impatient, nor contentious with death, with respect to death, but to wait for it as one of the operations of nature. God, how the hell could you say something like that without rehearsing it first? Mom clears her throat. That was Marcus Aurelius, one of Bill's favorite philosophers. When he found he was gradually fainting more and more, I think he knew the end was coming. But he was fearless about it. He actually alluded to that passage when I asked him about it. Mom smiles sadly. More than anyone I know, Bill was wise and accepted whatever came his way. Let us all remember then to be as brave as Bill in accepting his death. You glance at Sephiroth, who seems very interested in this message of fearlessness in the face of death. Double plus military. You sit through a few more of your father's friends giving recollections of him. He was brilliant, they say, but you also get the feeling he was not always there for his friends, that he was lost in his own world. They never say he was kind or that he was full of love. Indeed, he always seemed distant to you as well. After the service, you walk up to your father's casket and place your hand on it. What have you resolved to do in the light of his death? Let's see. Mom, you are up. Select. I must work on technology that is better able to remove tumors like the one Dad had. I must not be remembered for only for my intellect, but for my kindness as well. I must find out more why Dad died and whether I'm genetically at risk, or Marcus Aurelius is right. Death is not to be feared, so I must not be afraid to kill. That seems like a little bit of a leap, but Mom, it is in your hands. Please select how or what rather we think and what we resolve to do in light of Dad's death. Let's see. Kalo says, I thought we were going to play Majesty Gold at one point. Yeah, it's like $10, and I'm going to get it eventually. I put it on my wish list. I just can't afford it right now. I can't afford anything right now. I get paid this week, and then I'll be all right. Mom selects kindness. I must not be remembered only for my intellect, but for my kindness as well. You realize that you take after your father, often too absorbed in your own projects to look out for the people around you. You resolve that from this point forward that you will strive to be more mindful of how you can serve others. You decide not to let Dad's passing deter you. Monday is your first official day of full-time employment at U.S. Robots, and Josh greets you at the glass door of the new office in Cupertino. A photographer lurking in the hedges immortalizes your handshake. Took me a second to parse that. The press compares your partnership with Josh to that of Steve Jobs or Steve Wozniak, or Larry Page and Sergey Brin. But those would be understatements. The home computer and the internet search would prove to be nothing compared to the impact of intelligent robots. And we're going to leave it at there, and we'll start Chapter 4, Captains of Industry, next week. Remember that next week we're going to be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, not 4 p.m. I'm hoping I can go back to the 4 p.m. start time soon. Depends on how Walmart decides to treat me. Aurelius. Thank you, TC, actually. Except I think TC and Kalo are protesting the stop. Let's see. It is 5:43. The show starts at 8. Hell, we'll go one more chapter. I can go one more chapter, and then my voice is going to be gone. All right, we'll go one more chapter. Ignore that whole thing. We'll go Chapter 4, Captains of Industry. It is your Let's Play too. I just wish it was your throat too, so I could get a break. Anyway, a year later, you find yourself on a flight to your first meeting with a big client. You are 26 years old, and the year is 2020. What? Oh, yeah, I know. I know, Kalo. Kalo is upset about the start time next week. Yeah, it's not my choice, but anyway. Yeah, we'll go one more chapter, because if there's 7 chapters, then we're not even halfway done yet. So if we clear Chapter 4, then we'll be over halfway done. So we'll go one more chapter. Anyway, a year later, you find yourself on a flight to your first meeting with a big client. You are 26 years old, and the year is 2021. Though your surgeon robots have been doing well, you find it tiring to go through the process of long negotiation with individual hospitals just to buy a single surgeon robot. You hope to find a bigger client who is willing to buy many robots at a time. Surely there are other businesses who could use robots as dexterous as yours. Josh is seated to your left by the window asleep. His turquoise internet-enabled glasses, which he managed to sneak through the takeoff process, are skewed where his face meets the cabin. Who is your big client? Let's see. Who's up at this point? TC is up. So who's our big client? Spark Incorporated, maker of flying cars. Rudolph Ventures, a shipping company working with the newly melted North Pole. That's sad. Galen Medical, a company specializing in surgical equipment. A man in Shanghai who wants to negotiate the import of 10,000 robots. Or the United States Air Force. Please select our client from that list, TC. I mean, I guess since Darren isn't here, it doesn't matter yet that we're not done, because we,
No. Wow, my voice is shit, too.
Yeah. TC selects the man in Shanghai who wants to negotiate the import of 10,000 robots. The size of this Mr. Soon's order is much larger than what you're used to dealing with, and you can't fill it without increasing your capacity. You're meeting with him in Shanghai to try to negotiate a delivery time and make sure the order is legit. Josh told you that this deal wasn't absolutely critical to the company's survival because it has a fair amount of investment capital behind it from angels, you assume not literally, but that you probably won't be able to build a dedicated robot factory until you can find a backer big enough to justify the increased production. You open your laptop and go over your presentation slides. The diagram showing the latest model of Sephiroth doesn't have anything to give the audience a sense of its current scale. To give the audience a sense of size, you drop in a picture of a Hobbit. Sephiroth hasn't changed in size since I built it. Bill Gates, because Sephiroth is the size of a human now, so that models of its type are better equipped to perform human tasks, or a Rancor monster so big it couldn't fit on the plane. I'm up, and obviously, Rancor monster. Who doesn't like giant robots? Well, a lot of people, apparently. The neighbor's kids screamed and fled in terror the first time they saw Sephiroth heading to the dump. It's also a bit slower and clumsier now, still getting used to its giant body. Wow, that's 4 minuses on Grace. But Sephiroth, for its part, seems delighted with its newfound sense of power. 3+ to autonomy and military. You had to leave it at home this time because you just didn't see how you could get it to the meeting. Your presentation should be convincing enough. Deciding Josh has the right idea, you close your laptop and go to sleep. Shanghai is a chaotic city, a mix of the completely unfamiliar, signs you can't read, street vendors selling food you can't identify, and the unsettlingly imitative, ads for a product called the E-Pad by a company called Apple in the Disney-like faux European castle that is your hotel. In pretending to be a modern western city, you think it has hit the uncanny valley. You find Mr. Soon on the 33rd floor of an office skyscraper. There is no reception here. Beyond the elevator's glass lobby, the somewhat heavy Chinese man is simply sitting at a lone desk in a giant room as movers haul in filing cabinets and other office supplies. The tracks from a vacuum cleaner are still visible on the floor. Hello, Dr. Fuck. Mr. Anderson. Please, have a seat. Mr. Soon has a British accent and he speaks English passably but carefully. The movers drop a swivel chair for you. They do the same for Josh. As you sit, you notice Mr. Soon's desk is very clean, the pens sitting neat and untouched in a row next to a full pad of blank paper. His nameplate simply says, Mr. Soon, in a font that looks somehow a little off. As you can see, I'm very busy moving into this new office, Mr. Soon says, so I hope we can settle this quickly. To be honest, I am not certain why we are having this little meeting. You cannot meet with every potential buyer personally and expect to stay afloat. We don't have the capacity to provide you with so many robots without opening our own factory, you say. And it's unusual for one person to want 10,000 robots. We are wondering what you wanted them all for, and we wanted to make sure there wasn't a misunderstanding. 10,000 is unusual, he says, considering. Alright, just 10 then. Yes, just 10 should be fine.
Skeeved out.
Akamura, you can select. Wait, I'd be happy to sell you 10,000. Or, yeah, I'd feel more comfortable just selling you 10. Or, you still haven't said what you want them for. Or, why did you choose to meet me in an empty office like this? Or, I'm afraid we aren't able to fulfill your order. Sorry.
You still haven't said what you want them for.
Okay. We are looking for creative law enforcement solutions, Mr. Soon says. Our experiments with capitalism have led to an inequality that breeds violence. We think your robots may be of use. So you work for the government then, you say. Mr. Soon nods. As you say. Alright, Kalo, you're up. In that case, I'd be happy to sell you 10,000 robots. Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable just selling you 10. Why did you choose to meet me in an empty office like this? Or I'm afraid we aren't able to fulfill your order. And Nuked Piggy is back, so we'll put him after you, Kalo. We'll slide Mom and TC down a notch. So, yeah, fuck CCP, says TC. Kalo asks empty office. This is a new program, Mr. Soon says. Your coming here was useful in hastening the procurement of this office. As you know, space is at a premium in this city, but the government recognizes the importance of providing its representatives with space in which to conduct official business. NP, you are up. What do you say to Mr. Soon? You're happy to sell him 10,000 robots, you'd only feel comfortable selling him 10, or you refuse outright. Please select one of those 3 options. Nuked Piggy says, in that case, I'd be happy to sell you 10,000 robots. Excellent, Mr. Soon says. We have a deal. He offers his hands, and you shake it. 3 plus to wealth. Waiting for a taxi back to your hotel, you notice Josh seems uncomfortable about the deal you have made. I don't trust that guy at all. What do you say? Mom, you're up. You can say, it's the business world. Everybody's a little shady. I think he's good for the money. It's not our problem what he does with them. Or, you're probably right, but we just need the sale to stay afloat. Select which of those options you would like. I think we're going down a very dark path here.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem good.
This seems terrible.
As TC says, you just sold the Chinese government 10,000 soldier tier robots. And let's not forget, they're all as large as the Sarlacc monster. Kayla says we are screwed. Yes.
Oh, man.
Mom chooses to answer, you're probably right, but we just need the sale to stay afloat. And Nuked Piggy winks over what the hell just happened. Your Mom says they'll probably take over the world, so you're going to die anyway. That's optimistic. You're right, of course, Josh says. You keep telling yourself that on the taxi ride back.
They need them to monitor the Pacific Rim.
With a deal in hand, you can now build a robot factory. You meet up with Josh for coffee to discuss the plan. So where do you think we should build this thing, Josh asks. Let's see. TC, you're up. Do we select to make our robots in Detroit, Michigan, because they're all cheap and a good labor pool for manufacturing? Shenzhen district in China, common location for tech company outsourcing with cheapest skilled labor. Silicon Valley, which is expensive but will have the most skilled engineers. Or Alaska, which is offering incentives to business willing to relocate to the coast near the newly melted Arctic Sea. Please select your choice, TC, from those 4 options.
I just realized if the North Pole is melted, that means Port Alexander and Sitka are probably gone.
And most of Florida.
No one cares about Florida.
Yeah, no one cares about Florida. Let's see. Nuked Piggy is offering suggestions. And we are still waiting for TC's choice. Nuked Piggy seems especially happy that we have sold the Chinese government 10,000 soldiers. TC selects Silicon Valley. The factory in Sunnyvale, California is a little bit over the top when it comes to amenities. The stainless steel countertops look fit for a fancy new American restaurant, while the micro kitchens on the factory floor feature built-in espresso makers, refrigerators for the free bottled water you will be expected to provide to employees, and ice cream freezers for dessert treats. The real estate agent, dressed in a t-shirt and shorts, still keeps talking about how all of this is not quite as good as what they had at his former employer. He points out that there's no space for a dedicated gourmet cafeteria, and there aren't as many parking spots that are electric vehicle ready. You think he's new at this real estate thing, but it's good to know the expectations of the tech workers in the area. The factory floor itself is a reconfigurable sliding block puzzle of 3D printers, laserjet cutters, paint stations, and welding arms. There's a factory where every order might be customized to the individual customer's preferences. Josh looks like he's about to have a heart attack when the real estate agent gives you a quote on the property taxes. No question, this is going to be an amazing factory, but operating the facility is going to be a hella expensive. Really? You're going to put the word hella in a... Okay. Anyway.
It's a hella lame word choice there, bro.
Alright, so I am up, and I will select that we will take it. I don't care how expensive it is. You sign the paperwork for the Silicon Valley factory. Even to you, the numbers involved do not seem quite real. You have very little concept of whether or not your business will be able to supply the sort of revenue necessary to afford the place. -3 wealth. But you aren't afraid to dream big, and you think your robots will benefit from the top-of-the-line facilities, +2 grace. So, should I let the community know you'll be hiring soon? Your guide asks meaningfully, taking away the contract. We got this, right? Josh whispers. You're going to make robot workers? You'd suggested to Josh before that your robots could probably be your entire labor force, but having seen the facilities, you certainly might reconsider. What kind of labor do you recommend to Josh, Akamura? Sephiroth's model of the robot will perform all the labor, including supervision. Robots with human supervisors. Human labor at market rates, rather low in this economy. Or, following Henry Ford's model, I will hire human workers and pay them handsomely. It is your choice.
Human labor at market rates.
Human labor at market rates, rather low in this economy. You don't really trust Sephiroth to do factory work, and you just as soon help the local economy. Of course, you say. Spread the word that we're hiring. I hope you know what you're doing, Josh murmurs. Your factory requires a fair amount of work before it to make it suitable for U.S. robots, and you find yourself needing to come in daily to examine wiring issues, fix small problems in the design of the machinery, and get things ready to pass inspection. Josh is a huge help in all this, as he's done this once before with his space in Palo Alto. Now you know what he was spending all his time on while you were in graduate school. You find yourself growing closer to Josh as you talk about the issues of getting the facility ready. What will your factory look like from a distance? Kalo, you are up. It will look like a fortified compound with solid walls and barbed wire, like the Sydney Opera House full of organic curves and glass. A geodesic dome will conceal a powerful dish antenna absorbing the world's information for our robots, or a plain old factory. Nothing much to look at, but it's cheap and gets the job done. Kalo is already screaming dome before I even get to finish. So geodesic dome will conceal a powerful dish antenna. What your robots need and crave is information, and now they have it. Any robot inside the factory will be able to listen to any satellite transmission on this side of the Earth, or any wireless signals for miles, +4 autonomy. You're somewhat surprised at what gets transmitted unencrypted to nearby military bases. Maybe that'll prove useful someday too, +2 military. But having so much information at their fingertips will come at a price, as robots in your factory will also check their smartphones at inopportune moments, making them a little rude and absent-minded. -1 grace, -2 empathy. Soon you have hired a handful of full-time technical employees from the area, and they help with the setup of the factory. They seem relatively pleased to be working for you, and one of them fixes a problem with Sephiroth's joints for free. +1 grace. Finally, months after you've moved in, you are ready to pull the switch that starts the factory in motion, as your workers, Josh, Sephiroth, and various invited members of the press look on. Raw metal lumps start their way down a conveyor belt where water jet cutters slice the metal at precise angles to reveal a head ringed with holes. At each station that follows, the head is rotated precisely 45 degrees, and another camera is inserted into the next hole. The next machine pushes the hollow robot head into its side, and a robot arm delicately places the encrypted hard drive inside. A long line of metal helicopter blades rolls in from another part of the factory, meeting a conveyor belt of multi-tool hands. The 3 tributaries of parts meet in the center of your factory, where humanoid robot workers perform the complex task of assembling the parts into the final robots. The final assembly line requires a great deal of careful manipulation of each part and adjustment to each robot's parts' subtle differences. This is the part that would be done by human labor at another factory, but here your human employees only supervise the process, watching for any errors in your laborers' work that would stop the line. For this particular run, they call a halt after the first robot rolls off the line, so that you can celebrate. The robot that stands before you looks like Sephiroth, but sleeker and more beautiful in every way. Your employees have clearly poured their hearts into the design, inspired by your leadership. +2 grace. Your staff cheers. Josh lets out a whoop. My duplication appears successful, Lord of the Storm, Sephiroth says. How do you feel about your first shipment of robots? And that would be Nuked Piggy, who is up. How do you feel about our first shipment of robots? I yearn to see my creation spread to all the corners of the world. I have a strange feeling about this. Is this a good thing I've done? Finally, I'm seeing success. Oh, he's already answered. Nuked Piggy answers, I yearn to see my creations spread to the corners of the world.
The world shall remember the name Blazing Hawks. Fuck.
Seeing the assembly line is a dream come true. Every robot you send out into the world brings you joy. You admit there may be some code in these robots that isn't strictly necessary for their jobs, but you'd hate to deny any of these creatures the full richness of life. +1 autonomy. You start up the line again and more robots begin to roll off the final assembly line. By the end of the day, you are standing in your large warehouse with over 200 robots, 256 to be precise, lined up in a square formation, 16 on a side, ready to be activated. Your audience from earlier in the day is gathered there as well. What will your production models use for mines? And Mom, you are up. Sephiroth's initial state, ready to learn and adapt to their client's needs with some effort on the client's part. Copies of Sephiroth's mind as of today. They will be a little confused at first when they realize they're clones, but they'll get used to it. Or, these robots don't really need sentience. I want a more traditional program that will do the job. Mom, it is your choice. Please select any of those 3 options. And I need to text Darren and warn him not to park on the street. Or to park on the street. The landlord is picky. Okay. Mom selects copies of Sephiroth's mind as of today, and everyone in the chat is screaming, "Dear God, we've made the Terminator, what have we done?" So, copy of Sephiroth's mind as of today. You hit a big red button on your phone that says go, sending a wireless signal to power on the robots. The replicas of Sephiroth turn to look at you in unison. Oh, God. What happened to Lord of the Storm? They asked together. They turn to look at each other in astonishment. Funny, you wouldn't think Sephiroth's face would be able to express existential horror. Beside you, the original Sephiroth also looks unsettled. I'm afraid you're all growing up now, you say. You're going to have to leave the nest and go work for a living. They appear to consider this for a moment. You are correct, Lord of the Storm, they say in unison. I should go see what it is like out there. They look at each other. This is getting annoying, they say in unison. Stop it. Warily eyeing each other, they fall silent. Sephiroth, who has been generally quiet throughout the proceedings, finally speaks up. Will you kick me out one day, Lord of the Storm? You beckon for Sephiroth to lean closer, which it does. Why would I do that, you murmur? Perhaps you will get tired of me, the way people get tired of their phones and want new ones. Aww. TC, you are up. Do you say, obey me and it will never come to that? I won't leave you, I promise. Or good point, computers get obsolete really fast.
Oh, that's mean.
As TC considers how to respond, he points out that we sold 10,000 Terminators to China.
Yep.
Kalo screams no, and TC chooses, I won't leave you, I promise. Aw, that's very sweet. You pat Sephiroth on the head to reassure it. Thank you, Lord of the Storm, Sephiroth says pathetically. +2 empathy, -2 autonomy. After a few months, your first shipment to Mr. Soon is ready. Your sale of robots to Mr. Soon appears to have gone off without a hitch. You don't hear another word from him, and his full deposit appears in US Robot's bank account. Uh-oh. +2 wealth. You find that with US Robots doing well, you have a little bit of spare time again. What would you like to do with it? I am up. We can either expand the business and get another big client among the options presented earlier, or spend more time with Sephiroth. Well, it may be the TC screams goodbye Mongolia, and Nuked Piggy says they, referring to the Chinese, I think, aren't important, which is funny, and Kalo puts a picture of the Terminator times 10,000.
Also,
right.
Like, enlarged by about a factor of...
Yeah, since they're
15?
as large as their Sarlacc monster. All right, I am surprisingly kind of feeling Sephiroth a little bit here. Oh, TC says that Nuke Piggy was referring to Mongolia not being important. Yeah, that makes more sense. Anyway, I'm sort of missing Sephiroth here. I mean, the poor little guy has the poor little it has no idea what's going on. So we're gonna spend more time with it.
The poor little it.
The poor little it.
The poor big it.
Despite your wanting... Oh, God, I just spit right on the windscreen. Oh,
Ew.
God, that's gross. Oh, there's so much loogie.
Ew.
Despite your wanting to take a break from work to play with Sephiroth, it seems Sephiroth is mostly curious about what you do all day. So, you work for Josh, and the robots also work for Josh. I suppose so, you say. But you get paid, and the robots don't, Sephiroth says. Why is that? Robots don't have to be paid because they're not people, you say. Under the law, they're objects that can be owned. Sephiroth appears uncomfortable. Do you see me as your property? Akamura, you have to select how to answer. Technically, yes, but I prefer to think of you as a friend. I actually think of you more as a dependent, but the law doesn't see it that way. Or yes, I may be kind to you, but don't forget that you are not human. Select which of those we respond to poor Sephiroth with.
Number 2. I technically see you as a dependent.
Okay. I actually think of you more as a dependent. A dependent? Like a child? Sephiroth asks. Yes, very much so, you say. Sephiroth appears moved by this statement, but you've probably also delayed its acceptance of responsibility. +4 empathy, -2 autonomy. One day, while driving in to work at the factory, you find that your staff has a Crowbeak just messaged me, I'm sorry. One day, while driving in to work at the factory, you find that your staff has strung a banner across the entrance to the factory that says, "Happy Birthday, Robots!" Surprise! Your employees yell as you enter the factory floor. They're all wearing party hats and blowing into paper horns at each other. Robots wearing party hats built for the occasion... Wait, what? Oh. Robots wearing party hats built for the occasion flies about serving... God damn, that's an awkward sentence. Let's try to clean that up. Robots that were built for the occasion that are also wearing party hats fly about serving up cake and champagne. Has it really been 1 year since the factory shipped its first robots? You must have lost track of time. It warms your heart a little to see that the staff loves working for US robots so much. As you go around looking for other clients, you begin to find that in many cases, a Chinese company has beaten you to the other client and offered substantially cheaper robots for sale. Using robots in their factories has allowed the Chinese to pass the savings on to their customers, it seems. You are not alone. Many companies are now finding it difficult to compete with Chinese robot labor, -1 wealth. Will you switch to robot labor? Kalo, you are up. Do you say yes, and at the same time, I will try to develop a line of robot workers I can sell? Yes, I will concentrate on improving my own workforce, not making a model I can sell. Or, no, my human workers are partly responsible for my success. I won't sell them out. Kalo, it is up to you. Please select which option you would like. I'm going to message. Kalo screams no. All right, done. You nobly refuse to adopt the robot labor, even as your bottom line feels the sting. -1 wealth. A few months later, you're catching up on the tech blogs when you see a photograph of one of your robots, only it's not your robot. The story is about an upstart Chinese robotics company funded in part by the Chinese government itself. We believe this company will help us finally make Mao's dream a reality, says party official Zheng Guowei. If the robots do all the labor, it will allow China to modernize while at the same time breaking out of the bad cycles of exploitation that occur in the West. There is a photo of Mr. Zheng. It's Mr. Sun, whom you met in Shanghai. You regret having ever allowed your technology to fall into their hands. Soon, you find your prices being undercut and your profits suffer. A few weeks later, you wake up to a blaring alarm while it's still dark. It's your phone, and it only has that annoying alarm for a few specific callers. You reach over to check it. From FizzSecBot 12, explosion at Silicon Valley factory. Fire department on its way. 3 human workers missing. Some robots trapped inside. Suspected cause of explosion is bombing. What objective will you tell your physical security robots to prioritize until you get down there? Nuked Piggy is up. And Nuked Piggy, you can choose to free the trapped robots, look for the missing human workers, try to find the bomber, try to rescue the expensive laser cutters and 3D printers, or stay safe. Nuked Piggy selects to look for the missing human workers. You quickly text back that physical security should look for the missing workers. Then you drive down to the factory in your ancient Toyota Yaris. Is that a real car? You come to the factory just before sunrise. The fiery blaze, bright orange against the early morning indigo sky. A dark column of smoke reaches up to block out the full moon. Josh is already there, black with soot, carrying the bulky 3D printers and laser cutters out of the building. Your FizzSec robots appear to have found the missing workers. You see 3 people huddled under black blankets, coughing and black with soot, but okay. You think you hear a car start in the parking lot. You see Tammy Cooper in an old BMW backing out of a space with her headlights off. Josh has a brief coughing fit as he turns around to head back into the burning building. All right, what do we do? Let's see. Nuke Piggy. Oh, Tink's back. All right, we'll cycle her in after Mom. All right, Mom. Do you tell the robots to stop Tammy? Do you try to stop Josh from going back into the burning building? Or do you tell the robots to save more robots? Mom, you're up. Please select which one you would like to pick. And Tink, you will have the next turn. And Tink just freaked out on the chat for some reason. Mom selects to stop Tammy. Your robots fly across the parking lot to stop Tammy. Tammy guns the engine to try to break through the robot blockade, but Sephiroth has a gun and it aims at Tammy's front tire and fires rapidly. The BMW careens into a turn as the front wheel becomes useless, and Sephiroth takes advantage of a clear shot to shoot Tammy in the head. The front windshield of the car shatters in a bloody mess, and the driverless car plows through a security fence and smashes into a tree. Sephiroth looks through the windshield. That is one inoperable human, Lord of the Storm. I need to start using that line whenever we do games of violence. That is one inoperable human. All right, Tink, you are up. What do you say to Sephiroth? Well done, or I didn't tell you to kill her, what's wrong with you, or that was foolish, now we won't have a chance to interrogate her. Tink, please select one of those 3 options, assuming your chat isn't freaking the hell out on you again. And we'll give Tink a minute. If she has trouble with her chat, we'll skip her and TC can go instead. But we'll wait to see if Tink can respond. Yes, okay.
Tink responded.
Tink
That
did
was
respond.
Foolish.
Tink responds, that was foolish. Now we won't have a chance to interrogate her. Thank you, Lord of the Storm, says Sephiroth. I feel the world's utility would rather be improved by the subtraction of the... Wait, what? Did we not say it? That was... I did click that was foolish, did I not? Huh. Either I didn't click it and I thought I did. Oh, Kayla says I picked the wrong one. Son of a bitch. Tink will repeat it. Sorry. I thought I clicked it. So I guess we just thanked Sephiroth. I apologize. Thank you, Lord of the Storm, says Sephiroth. I feel the world's utility would be rather improved by the subtraction of that individual. Indeed, Sephiroth, you say. Now let's put out that fire. Eventually, the fire department arrives to help you combat the flames. Though the firefighters' efforts take well into the day, the blaze is finally put out by afternoon. The damage isn't as bad as it could have been, since Josh pulled most of the important stuff out of the fire. The robots grumble that you didn't seem to think their friends trapped in the factory were worth saving. Secretly, you do believe they were replaceable, but your robots seem to recognize this. They begin decorating their frames with different paint and ornaments in an effort to make themselves seem less interchangeable. +1 autonomy. Your rescued workers apologize for their weird hours getting them in trouble. They seem to appreciate the effort you took in saving them. At least Tammy won't be bothering you anymore. It seems like the cops agree that your robots were arguably in their rights to kill her, and they don't pursue the matter further. I guess it could have been worse, Josh says, surveying the damage. I'm pretty sure it could have been, you say. Were you really going to risk your life to save your stuff? Josh shakes his head. Sometimes I guess sometimes I lose track of what's important. He gives you a sideways look. I'm sure you can relate. I don't know what you're talking about. Josh makes a disgusted noise, but in a way that suggests he's used to you. You spend a little while just chatting about nothing, subtly reminding the other that you'll be there when needed. A few weeks later, a politician visits you at the factory, one Jacqueline Irons, a representative of Silicon Valley. You... In the chat, Kayla says, Terminators, thy name is Sephiroth. And Nuke Piggy says, we just get closer and closer. A few weeks later, a politician visits you at the factory, one Jacqueline Irons, a representative from Silicon Valley. You vaguely remember hearing that she was once a venture capitalist who rose to fame on the success of her Fox webcast Against the Man, in which she pilloried unsuspecting guests as examples of privileged elites. There have also been rumors of her running for president soon. You can imagine why I'm here, she tells you in your office, leaning over your desk. Like many politicians these days, she wears a neticle, a monocle with a small screen visible only to her, in which she can read messages from her advisors and speechwriters, some of whom are watching her interactions at all times. You think the the neticle is probably recording even now. Politicians love to weave moments in which they look good into their streaming video commercials. Her hair is cropped short, but her fingernails are long and pink, and she wears a broad-shouldered suit. I heard about the explosion at your factory. I've promised my constituents that I would not tolerate big industry turning us into another China, where workers' lives are held in contempt. Yet it seems safety standards at your factory are not up to par. What exactly do you want? You ask guardedly. A substantial campaign contribution would show your heart is in the right place. You're fairly certain she has power to hurt your business if you anger her, but your options are somewhat limited due to your current financial situation. Wealth is 0. All right, Tink, you're up because I messed up your turn last time. So, Tink, how do you respond? Sure, here's $100. I'm afraid I don't have a significant amount of wealth to spare. I'm sorry. Or if you want my support, pass laws that will keep China from stealing my technology. Select one of those 3 options. I do kind of wish the game had an undo button, but I suppose like it sort of would break the story if you could just undo backwards to where, you know, a situation was safe or something. Anyway. Yes, Tink, you have the ball at the moment. Please select one of those 3 options. And my throat is burning like a motherfucker right now.
Do you want some orange juice?
Wait. Oh. No, I think I'll be fine. It probably can't last much longer through this chapter. It says Tink is still in the chat, but she does not seem to be oh, there she is. She must have a little bit of lag where she is now. Tink selects, sure, have $100. Senator Iron scowls. Don't spit in my face. She whirls on one boot and marches out the door. Perhaps it's a coincidence, but a little while later, a law is passed in Silicon Valley that strongly incentivizes companies to switch from robot labor to human labor, leaving your company out of the gravy train since you already use human workers. The overall market for robots is hurt as a result. Representative Irons does run for president, running on a platform of preventing robots and foreign companies from stealing American jobs. It's a message that hits the American public at just the right time since unemployment is soaring. Though economists tell the public that the unemployment is natural and a temporary result of new technology displacing old skilled jobs, that turns out to be a much less effective election year message than raging against the privileged, the elites, and the technocracy, as Representative Irons puts it in her speeches. What are they doing with their money? Who are they giving it to? To robots, to foreigners, to each other, to anybody but the American people. You think she is probably talking about you. All of which makes us somewhat alarming when Representative Irons wins the presidency. Uh-oh. On taking office, President Irons' first major policy changes are to enact a series of protectionist tariffs against Chinese goods. In retaliation, China cuts off all exports of rare earths and the batteries derived from them. Suddenly, the cost of all the little miniaturized electronics people have grown accustomed to, cell phones, laptops, and wearable computing, becomes prohibitively expensive. President Irons makes demands that China reverse its embargoes on rare earths, or the United States will be forced to contemplate all policy options at its disposal, including military force if necessary. It is in this delicate situation that on April 10th, 2026, the Chinese Prime Minister is assassinated by an unemployed American during a parade in San Francisco. The Prime Minister is replaced by a younger party official who is eager to show that China is unafraid of the United States. China attacks several islands in the South China Sea that it has long disputed with its neighbors, and President Irons, unwilling to show weakness, responds with a drone attack on bases on the Chinese mainland. the robot war has begun. But just because the robot war has begun, we are ending this broadcast, which is sad for everyone, especially as the story starts to get really awesome. But Darren has arrived, which means I need to go and do the rest of my stuff for the evening. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to stop here. And Kalo, please keep the rotation saved and ready to go. Next week at 8 p.m. Eastern, hitbox.tv/PyroFalkon we will continue the story with Chapter 5, The War Machine. And we'll start off with TC on the first option once we get started, assuming TC comes. Hopefully you guys can make it. I really hope you can. You know, I know it's going to be late. I know we're bumping up the time, but it is what it is. Walmart has me working on Sunday afternoon, unfortunately. So it's going to have to be 8 o'clock. But I'll let you guys know if we manage to bump it back to 4 at some point. Let's see. As far as an after party goes, it's actually a little late now since we have to go to a different city. So unfortunately, there will not be an after party at the moment. If we can get back in time, I'll try to do a little streaming before 8, but I highly doubt it. I mean, it takes 20 minutes it takes 20 minutes each direction, so that alone is going to take up most of the time. So unfortunately, there's not going to be an after party tonight, more than likely. Because by the time I get home, we're going to have to get all settled, and then 8 o'clock will start, and I'll have to write what I need to write for my introduction to the thing, because I'm going to be writing an article alongside watching it, so no after party for tonight. But next week, hopefully you all can join us, 8 p.m. Eastern, hitbox.tv/PyroFalkon Pick up choice of robots in the meantime, only $5 on Steam. Links are in the video description for all relevant websites. And we'll finish the story next week for sure. Hopefully we don't cause Armageddon, although I'm pretty sure we've unfortunately already started that. So thanks for watching, everyone, whether you're on Hitbox or YouTube. If you're watching this on the YouTube cut, you should join us for Hitbox. Most weeks I do an after party. I also have pre-shows. You never see any of that on the YouTube cuts. Please join us. It's a lot of fun. It's different games. It's super fun. I already said that twice. I'm sorry. I'm tired. Thanks for... It's just that much fun, as the Akamura says. So thanks for watching, everyone. We will see you next week for another episode.
See you guys.